So, Mr. Jenna, what happened that night in the backwoods?
A lone gas station sat on the outskirts of town. Moonlight filtered through a thin veil of clouds, casting long, ominous shadows across cracked pavement and rusting gas pumps. An unsettling silence hung in the air, broken only by the occasional creak of the wind whipping through the skeletal branches of a nearby dead tree. The backwoods, where whispers of strange occurrences danced on the tongues of locals, where the veil between worlds felt thinner than anywhere else. While stranger things have occurred here, something unlike anything seen here was about to unfold. A chill seeped through Dante's barely there consciousness. The sting of cracked floor tiles bit into his palms. The cloying stench of ammonia dragged him from the abyss of his unconsciousness. Gasping for air, his breath raced through his parched throat as he fumbled for his phone. His eyes fluttered open, the movement triggering a wave of nausea. He was barely able to make out the faint glow coming from his phone. Low battery, mocking his desperation. Closing his eyes tight, he searched for a familiar pull, for the echo of magic he had harnessed. Time stretched and warped around him until everything stood still. He cracked open one eye and his breath hitched. Glowing cerulean lines of code danced around the shattered phone screen, swirling in a mesmerizing ballet. Then, like a sentient liquid, it flowed downward, seeping into the glass. The phone sputtered to life, the screen bathing the squalid area in blinding light. He blinked, adjusting to the harsh glare. Empty shelves, weathered and scarred, loomed around him, silent witnesses to his imprisonment. Yet despite the bleakness, a spark of defiance flickered in his eyes. The phone was a conduit to freedom, and it hummed softly in his hand, whispering promises of escape and lines of code. Dante, barely able to move his fingers, opens the messaging app, growing tired. Though his hands remained numbed and distant from the screen, a ghostly light danced across the keypad, revealing the numbers of his saviors. With a grimace, Dante willed his trembling fingers to focus. Each digit burned into his memory as if they were lifelong friends, but this was a lifeline cast into the unknown, channeled by his control of the unseen forces. The keypad vanished, replaced by a sea of silent letters. With a ragged breath, Dante began tapping, each keystroke a cry laced with a plea for help. "My name is Dante Jenna." His vision was blurring with pain as he typed. "I've been taken somewhere, and I have no idea how to escape." A guttural cough escaped his lips, the sound harsh in the stillness out of the late afternoon. Then, from outside the abandoned gas station, the sound of a car door slammed shut. Anxiety shot through him as the approaching steps of gravel crunched towards him. His fingers flew across the screen. "I'm bleeding. Hurting. I need an ambulance." He ripped his gaze from his phone, scanning the room. His eyes landed on a window, revealing the ominous glow of the gas pumps and a tree line just past that, stretching into the darkness. Just as he turned back to his screen, a silhouette flickered past the window's edge, swallowed by the retreating headlights. Dante's heart hammered against his ribs, trying to maintain his intention on his phone. Desperate plea forming in his mind. This time, it was more than just tapping keys. Ethereal strands of code danced around the device, creating a illusory vortex above it. "I see trees, I hear water," he types, and each letter echoed his racing heart. "But someone's here. I think I'm in the..." The click of keys faded as the heavy crunch of boots tore across the gravel outside, growing menacingly closer. Dante scrambled behind the gas station's skeletal frame, shrieking himself into the shadows. Holding the phone tight, he dimmed the screen, yet some instinct assured him that his SOS was sent. A sickening crunch of shattered glass forced Dante uncomfortably into the present, with every second being torment. Panic gnawed at the edges of his mind, threatening to unravel him completely. The mage was able to secure himself hidden from sight behind a series of empty shelves that decorated the floor space. Holding his breath wasn't an option. Every gasp was a beacon in the suffocating darkness. He forced himself to breathe shallowly, inhaling a silent prayer, exhaling a plea for invisibility. Shrouded in a deep hoodie, the hulking figure stepped through the open doorway. Moonlight glinted off his boots, echoing against the concrete like a death knell. Towering at least 6'5", he moved with a predatory grace, each step thudding against Dante's already shattered nerves. Suddenly, a beacon of hope ripped through the darkness. The figure's phone went off. The hooded figure twitched. Hesitation flickered in his movements. It was a brief moment, but it felt like an eternity. The figure pulled out their phone, the faint glow illuminating his shadowed face. An unkempt beard and a deep southern drawl painted his every word. The figure fumbled with his phone, listening to someone berate them before grunting in annoyance and abruptly ending the call. The figure eyes all corners of the gas station until eventually settling on Dante's hiding spot. A scoff escaped the man's mouth before exiting the station entirely. Dante, heart hammering, cautiously emerged from his hiding place. He watched the car retreat, that phone call being the start of many savers he would encounter tonight. Coughing, he fought for a breath. The near miss left him drained. He maneuvered his way to the worn, cracked windows and peered through. Weakly, in its new phase, moonlight did little to pierce the oppressive darkness. He scanned the abandoned station, spotting only loose screws and bolts. Useless in his current predicament, his gaze fell upon an empty light socket above the doorway, the shattered bulb shards glinting accusingly below, a piece of filament alongside them. Dread gnawed at Dante's gut as he knelt. Hesitantly, he picked up a loose filament. "Guess you'll have to do," with a shaky breath. He focused on the raw energy thrumming within him, channeling it into the filament. It responded with a hesitant pulse of light, illuminating the gas station and casting a path towards the looming tree line. At first he hesitated, weighing his options. Stay and face the unknown captors or take a leap of faith into the shadowy woods. With a deep breath, Dante stepped into the tree line, eyes closed, embracing the warmth of light he created, entering a realm of whispered myths and chilling legends. And, though not religious, he sought solace in the filament's glow, his only guide in the face of the unknown. The tree line swallowed him whole, the dense canopy cloaking him in suffocating darkness. At first, progress was easy, the undergrowth yielding under his hasty steps, but soon a disquieting realization settled in. Every twisting path, every trampled ground, every moss-covered rock, they all led back to the gas station, mocking him in some sort of cruel loop. It was as if the very space itself conspired against him, folding in on itself to form an inescapable prison. Panic started to gnaw at the edges of his mind. He retraced his steps, desperate to find a new direction, only to arrive back at the chipped pavement and shattered glass of the station. Frustration morphed into despair, and the weight of his captivity pressed on him like a physical force. He slumped against the weathered gas pump, the smell of stale gasoline filling his lungs. Dante's gaze fell upon the shimmering filament in his hands, the embers of defiance rekindling within him. His eyes closed, focusing on the energy coursing within his veins, feeling its raw power hum beneath his skin. When he opened them, a new thought took hold. Trapped, perhaps, but not powerless, Dante's gaze landed on the shimmering filament, and a spark reignited all the more. If he couldn't break free from the physical constraints, then he would make it a prison of his own design.